Caution: the following program contains major spoilers about the thing that is discussed in it. Therefore, if you have not experienced the thing in question, you may not want to listen to it. Lastly, as a side note, it also contains terrible humor and adult content. Welcome to our world, motherfuckers.
Hello to all you chicks and dicks out there in internet land. Welcome to another episode of the audio podcast series Defend Avenge, the series where our super awesome hosts try to defend and or avenge things that are widely criticized by the public. On the menu for today's episode is the widely panned movies that Rob Zombie produced, wrote, and directed, Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. They star Rob Zombie's wife, Sherry Moon Zombie, Alex from A Clockwork Orange, and Grima Wormtongue from The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. God, I hope that fucker's dead. We don't need any James Bond gimmicks to get listeners for our audio podcast.
You mean like Cadillac cars and three-figure spending accounts?
Yes. Also, please don't tell Cinemassacre we ripped off their bid for the rental review videos.
I mean three-figure spending budgets, not accounts.
Yes. Okay, after that awkward addition, let's get back to the topic. Before I hopefully murdered our announcer for this episode, I just want to say that he did make some good points about what we're going to talk about today. So let's dive right into it, shall we?
Okay.
As you may know, the Rob Zombie movies, the Halloween movies, I should say, that came out in 2007 and 2009 respectively, don't have a very good reputation amongst Halloween fans.
No, they don't.
But we saw both of them, and they're alternate versions of the movies.
Yeah, because there are theatrical versions which are R-rated, and then there are the unrated versions.
Yeah, don't you just love this shit?
I know. Now, as just a general note, unrated sometimes, especially for like horror movies and action movies, unrated usually means that if it was submitted to MPAA, it would get an NC-17 rating. And then what ends up happening is that they'll make a movie, submit to MPAA, it'll get NC-17, then they'll take stuff out to get an R rating so they can put it in theaters because NC-17 movies don't do well in the theaters. Then when the movies are released on physical media or home video, then the unrated version is usually the original version that got the NC-17 rating. So the director then can put out the original version that he made. And for some reason, NC-17 versions or unrated versions on like Blu-ray and alternate Blu-ray and DVD, for some reason, do better than in the theater. I don't know why.
Yes, this follows like the Blade Runner principle.
Yeah, because we all know the most infamous NC-17 movie of all time, Showgirls.
Yes.
And that didn't do so well because that had NC-17.
Okay. So while we talk about why we like the Rob Zombie movies, we're also going to go through the plot, like the summaries. And we saw them a while ago, but we tried to refresh ourselves with this with the plots, what they were about. And also, as a side note, I want to mention is we have not really seen much of the other Halloween movies. Like, we've seen the original, parts of the original
from 1978.
Yes, the one John Carpenter. I think John Carpenter directed it.
I've seen.
I think parts of the second one.
I personally have seen scenes from the first one, but not the whole thing. And the second one from 1981.
I think it was directed by somebody else.
That one,
and I have seen
some parts.
And I have seen a little bit of the Halloween 3 Season of the Witch with the Halloween masks, which explode because of the TV commercial. It has nothing to do with Mike Myers, but I'm just throwing that out there.
And when we mean it has nothing to do with Mike Myers, we mean serial killer and Austin Powers. From Wayne's World.
And then as for the other Halloween movies after that, I don't think I've seen really anything from them.
No, not at all.
Maybe like a second or two.
Yeah. The only Halloween movies we've seen in their entirety have been the Rob Zombie duology.
Yeah, duology, whatever.
Yeah, whatever the hell you call it.
Yes.
So we will not be talking about any of the other movies.
No, we're not going to be really making many comparisons.
All we're going to say is that the original Halloween from 1978 is considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time. It's supposed to be a classic, and it probably is better than the Rob Zombie ones. We're just saying that because that's what most people seem to agree on.
Okay.
So
let's go in. With the first Halloween movie, one of the differences...
Well, first of all, let me give the score for the first.
Oh yeah, do that first, just to prove to you all out there how well these actually were received with the general public.
Rob Zombie's Halloween from 2007 got a 26% Rotten Tomatoes. For all you people out there who don't know anything about Rotten Tomatoes, 27% is rotten, which means it sucks or fails.
Yes, they take all these critics' scores and they do a consensus with them.
Yes.
You have to have at least, I think, 40 reviews, but I have seen movies with less than 40 reviews that have a consensus.
So just to make a point real quick, a movie can have 100%, but that doesn't mean that it's a masterpiece or greatest movie ever made. If every single critic says the movie's okay or average, then they give it a fresh score, then the movie gets 100%. So the score just means the percentage of people who liked it from like average to like fantastic. It doesn't mean like the quality of the movie, because fresh can, like I said, because fresh can mean okay to average, and then rotten can mean like bad to horrendous. So it varies. So you have to be careful with the score, because 100% sometimes, people think that it's like amazing, but that's not always the case. So you just want to point that out.
And hold on, I also want to say that with the 40 reviews thing, where you need at least that to get a consensus, I've also seen movies with I've seen movies with less than 40 reviews that have a consensus, or more than 40 reviews but don't have a consensus. Yeah,
so the rules don't.
I think I read somewhere that it's 40 reviews, you need at least 40 of them. But anyway, though, we're getting off topic, and it's not a perfect system, but it's pretty decent. So you continue with the scores.
Okay. So the Rotten Tomatoes score for Halloween is a 26%. If I said, I think I might have said 27% before. That's wrong. It's 26%, which is rotten. And the critics' consensus is Rob Zombie doesn't bring many new ideas to the table in Halloween, making it another bloody disappointment for fans of the franchise.
And on to Halloween number 2.
Okay, hold on.
He's looking them up in real time on his phone.
Halloween 2 from 2009, the consensus is 20%, which is rotten. And the critic consensus is Zombie shows flashes of vision in the follow-up to his Halloween reboot, but they're smothered by mountains of gore and hackneyed brutal violence.
Well, folks, he literally dropped the mic.
Mic drop, bitches.
So anyway, you're probably wondering, why we would like movies directed by a heavy metal musician. And no, it's not just because we like that kind of music that we automatically like the movies because he directed them, wrote them, and produced them, I think. Nor it has to do with the fact that one of the distributors was the Weinstein Company.
I don't know.
I think that's what Wikipedia said.
Cool.
Because I think he was that a producing? I think it said it was a distributor.
Yeah, because
you can you check Wikipedia really quick. Look up Halloween. I think it was a distributor. The Weinstein Company. Do 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 do. Okay, now I'm just fucking bored of this.
Hold on, I'm getting there. Okay. According to Wikipedia, the Weinstein Company the Halloween was distributed and produced by the Weinstein Company.
Okay, I think the second one was the same way, so it was distributed and produced.
Let me check. I just want to check on the second one.
We got to make sure we have our facts straight.
Yes, the Weinstein Company also distributed and produced Halloween 2 as well.
Okay, so like I said, none of those reasons are why we like the movies. So anyway, with the movie, it starts out where Michael Myers is 10 years old, the kid, and then he gets bullied and he like kills the bully and stuff, and then he kills a bunch of people in his family except his mom.
Well, yes. What you have to understand is that Rob Zombie uses a lot of stereotypes in the movie, and his mother's a stripper, and his dad's like an alcoholic, and he like doesn't work. He just like lays on the couch and his hands like all fucked up or something, like it's like in a cast. And his sister's arrogant and basically like a slut. So basically, in all his movies have characters like this, and of course they curse a lot and stuff. But anyway, yeah, Michael basically
he comes from like a redneck family,
like a broken home, and then he like brutally like kills everybody except for his sister and his mom.
Yes, and
his sister is a baby.
Yes, and then he goes into a mental institution.
Yes,
where he tries to where Dr. Loomis, played by Malcolm McDowell, tries to help him. He's like a child psychologist.
Yes.
And also, I want to mention that the big difference between this movie and the first Halloween, I believe, is that in the first movie, Mike Myers
has no like.
Well, yeah, they don't talk about why he kills people. He's just kind of like evil.
He's just
like a force.
He's just an unnamed he's like no character development from what I understand. He's just an unnamed like pure force of evil.
Yes,
who just does bad stuff.
In this movie, they try to explain him, like give him a
character,
like a backstory, like a reason why he does this,
all fucked up.
Which I think they kind of do, but it's nothing like really really complicated or anything.
That's the first half of the movie is him as a kid, showing what happens.
And the part where they try to explain why he is the way he is, that's I think really interesting. Instead of him just being evil, it's like, well, why is he evil? You know, we like character development, so that's a big plus in our books.
Usually, like in reboots, they did that with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory too, where in the first movie, there's really no backstory for any of the characters, but then in like the remake, they try to do that.
And then, of course, when Mike Myers is 15 years goes by in the mental institution, and he gets obsessed with making masks.
Yes. What's weird about it is that he's 10 years old, right? We fast forward 15 years. That's the second half of the movie when he's an adult.
Yes.
He would then technically be 25 years old, right? Yes.
Yeah. Well, yes, if it's 15.
Yeah, 25. But he looks much older in the second half of the movie.
Well, they always have older people play younger people.
It doesn't. So I always thought it was weird because it should be longer than that.
Yes.
It looks a lot older than 25.
So anyway, after 15 years of trying to help him, Dr. Loomis can't help him anymore, so he decides to move on. And then Michael tries to escape from the insane asylum, and I think there's some differences with that.
Yes, that's probably the biggest difference in the movie. Now, in the unrated, unregular theatrical R-rated versions, there are many, many differences, and I hate when they do this with movies, is that I like movies where they have a movie, okay? That was in theaters. Then when they released the unrated director's cut on Blu-ray, all they do is insert new footage into it, and that's it. So it's just longer. That's easy. But with the Rob Zombie movies, is that both versions contain different scenes, and there are a few big differences, but a lot of them are like little differences where like there are extra lines or scenes like 2.4 seconds longer. So it's just ridiculous, that they do crap like that, like just little bullshit things. And I can understand, because when you're working on a project, you like to dick around with it and do stuff with it because it's your baby, it's your creation. So I understand that, but it's just asinine to the consumer because the differences are like so small and there's like so many of them. As my co-host was saying, with the prison escape, that's a big difference. In the theatrical version, he's like being escorted by 4 guards and he kills them, and which is cool.
Yes.
And I think he uses one of them is a shotgun, and he shoots one with them.
Also part of this is that when his mom comes to visit him one time when he's a kid, he kills I think it's when he's a kid, he kills a nurse, and then when his mom, she can't deal with it anymore, so when she leaves, she kills herself. So it gets pretty fucked off in the movie, but a lot of it makes sense to me. Like,
yeah,
it's like brutal and dark, but it makes sense.
Okay. So in the unrated version, the 2 of the people who work there, I think they're guards, Noel and his cousin Kendall. One of them is played by Danny Trejo, I think. I don't know which one.
Yes, we know him as
Octavio from King of the Hill.
Yes.
Hey there, Gribble. So,
yes, I think he played him.
Yes. So, I think him and his cousin are both like guards at the facility, and one of the things they do is that after hours they rape the inmate, like female inmates. So they find one.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
It's a lot creepier than the unrated version. Is a lot creepier than the theatrical version in this regard. So they take one of the female inmates, and one of them, they try to rape her in Michael's cell. And then because of that, they have to open the door while Michael's making a mask. And then
a paper mache mask, because he made paper mache masks.
Yeah, that's right. Because he can't have things that can hurt people. But anyway, though, they open the door. So then when they're raping one of the girls in his cell, he then escapes that way. Because he let him out.
I guess you could say that Mike Myers really does live behind the perfect mask.
So then he somehow gets out of the facility.
Yes, depending on what version you're watching.
Yes.
But in both versions, he does escape because there'd be no movie.
I want to make that clear. He does escape in both versions, but they're different.
So then he returns to Hanfield to find his long-lost sister, who was adopted by I think it's the sheriff.
Yeah.
And he has a daughter. I think
it's his friend.
Yes, and the sheriff is the person who played Grima Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings movies.
I don't remember that character at all.
Okay, from the Two Towers.
Was he the king?
No, he was the guy who he worked for Sauron. He controlled that one dude.
I have no recollection of that.
Oh, okay. Anyway, moving on.
Maybe that was such a long time ago.
Yeah, you put a spell on him or something.
Okay.
But anyway, we're really getting off topic, so let's get back on course. So he tries to find his long lost sister, and then he kills a bunch of people. Obviously, like her friends and stuff.
And there's all gruesome ways.
Yes, and there's nudity and people having sex or having coitus. Premarital coitus.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of the movie, and I think it's all done really well.
With titties.
Yes. And I think that everybody acts realistically, and there's like swearing, and it's crude.
Well, there's a lot of cursing, which does get obnoxious at times.
Yes, but it makes
a lot of Rob Zombie's movies have a lot of cursing.
Like I said, though, it's realistic because there's a lot of fucked up shit going down.
There's supposed to be fucked up people, so yeah.
So if you're in a situation like that, I think you'd swear a lot too.
Yes.
So anyway, let's go to the ending then.
Okay.
Because we don't need to cover every freaking detail.
No.
Let's see. Okay. Then Dr. Loomis gets he figures out that Michael's on the loose again. Yeah. So he decides to go after him because now he's like a superhero.
Yeah. And like I said, Dr. Loomis, I don't remember if you mentioned this, but he stops treating Michael because he can't do anything for him. Yes. Michael won't talk or do anything.
Yes.
So he has to give up and go on to other people. And that happens when he's a kid, a few years after the facility.
I think Dr. Loomis shoots him. This is at Laurie's house, I think, where she lives. But it doesn't stop Michael because, well, he's Mike Myers.
Yes.
And he does something to Dr. Loomis. He knocks him out, I think, or something. And then Laurie gets his gun and she goes upstairs. And then to the balcony, Michael goes up there to get her. And then he knocks her over the railing and he falls off too, I guess, and they both land on the ground and Laurie lands on top of him in a non-sexual way. He's unconscious, but then she points the gun at his face.
Because if he fell on her, she would be killed.
Yeah, she would explode like a grapefruit,
like an elephant meeting with a mouse.
Yes. And anyway, she's on top of him and he's unconscious. So when he wakes up, she shoots him with the gun, and that's where the movie ends.
So it's like a cutaway ending, kind of.
I think so.
Yes.
So that brings us to the sequel.
Yeah. Now, also, in the original Halloween, Mike Myers was just a regular person of average height. And he was just, like I said, he was just an unnamed, pure force of evil with no backstory.
Who liked to stab people with knives, which I think he usually does in this movie.
In Rob Zombie's Halloween Duology, Michael Myers is played. I think Amazon said that some person at Amazon, one of the reviews said that he's like a Viking warrior where he has superhuman strength because he's 7 feet tall.
Tyler Mane. He's 6'8", I think,
he's
or something.
6 feet 8 tall, so he's a lot bigger than the original.
Something like that, but he's a pretty big motherfucker.
Yeah, he can fuck you up big time. And he's really badass too, and he has long hair. Obviously, he looks like a metal. He belongs in a metal band, which is cool. And he doesn't talk in the Halloween movie except when he's a kid, which I think the original Michael Myers didn't talk either. But anyway, he's a huge Viking warrior, so he's a lot more powerful, and he's a super villain almost. Well, the original Mike Myers was a regular person,
and that's what I think is cool because he's so fucking huge and he's like a wall of just sheer hair.
And I'm assuming though, if he's super tall and stuff, he's big in other ways as well. So ladies go after him.
Yeah, he's hung like a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's Super Bowl gives you wings. No, Red Bull gives you wings.
Was Tyler Mane a wrestler? I thought I read that somewhere.
He might have been. Usually these people are, or stuff like that. So anyway, with the first movies, we thought the acting was fine and everything.
I thought the gore,
the special effects were good. I don't think there was anything really fake or shitty like the blood.
Special effects, I think, are practical.
I think
so they look good.
All the people who were casted, I think, did a good job with the acting.
The cursing got obnoxious.
Yes, that's the one thing I'll complain about a little bit.
It doesn't do anything to do with horror movies. It uses the same tropes and stereotypes almost all of these types of movies have.
But I thought it was done.
Yeah, I thought they were done fine.
The one bright spot of the movie, though, for everybody else, seems to be that they like Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, Dr. Loomis.
Yeah, that's the one thing I heard a lot of people say that they did a good job with, and he does do a good job, but I thought everybody else was fine. Even Rob Zombie's wife is Mike Myers' mom.
Yeah.
Because she's, like a model, and then she became an actress.
Okay.
I guess. But anyway, though, I thought they, they all did a decent job. And like I said, it's not anything super fantastic or complicated, but considering what Rob Zombie wanted to do, I think what he did worked, and I think John Carpenter said to make it like his own, really make it like the way he wants to, not just to copy the original Halloween movie. So he tried to put his own spin on it, which I thought was neat. And if you know Rob Zombie and his music, like from White Zombie and his solo stuff, the movie I think fits kind of like like the stuff he does, like the imagery, like with his videos and like when he does his shows and he gets all decked out in his zombie gear, like the visuals and stuff and the kind of stuff that their music's all about. I think the movie really encapsulates that. Okay. So I think it really fits like the horror thing that he was going for.
Also, in the unrated and regular versions of Halloween, I don't think that the changes that they make or scenes that they add or whatever, none of that is like more gore or sex or nudity or anything. It's just like dialogue and like just regular things. Because people get pissed off about that because they like the unrated version to have more gore and sex. But that's none of the extra stuff.
Okay.
Now on Halloween 2.
Yes.
Okay, Halloween 2 came out.
This is where shit gets real.
Halloween 2 came out in 2009. This is from MovieCensorship.com, where a lot of our information came from that compares theatrical versions with their unrated and or NC-17 versions, and like versions of different countries and stuff. And it says, for the DVD release, Rob Zombie created a director's cut of the first movie, which is noticeably different from the regular theatrical cut and gives some parts of the movie a whole new direction. Same is true for the sequel. Shortly after its theatrical release, Rob Zombie announced on Twitter that he was already working on a director's cut that would be closer to his original vision. Usually the unrated versions are. As we reported back then, this version was supposed to change Laurie Strode's character significantly. And this is an actual quote from Rob Zombie himself. The way we cut it for the theatrical, Laurie Strode's character is the main difference in the two. In the theatrical, she's holding it together, getting her life together, and it starts spiraling downward. In the other version, she's an incredible mess and gets worse. She never has any good moments. She's just messed up. She's lashing out at everyone. She's horrible. Messed up on drugs, she's just completely spun out through the whole movie. It makes for a real challenging movie to watch, and I feel like I don't know if fans would have embraced so much darkness.
And this is for the second one?
Yes.
Okay.
And then big differences, on DVD you can get the unrated or R version, or theatrical version, but on Blu-ray you can only get the director's cut for these movies. And I don't know if any of them have been released on Ultra Blu-ray yet, in HDR. So the director's cut integrates several scenes in which her devastating state of mind becomes even more obvious. She argues with Annie, has delusions, and curses more often. And then some of the more emotional scenes were missing, and there are more changes. For example, Malcolm McDowell's alias Dr. Loomis gets more screen time. It comes across as being meaner than in the theatrical cut. Another important fact is that both versions contain almost completely different endings.
We can get to
which
that.
We will get to later. And then it also says, in addition to that, the director's cut contains some minor changes again, where they just add dialogue, change dialogue, do crap like that. And it has to be noted that the director's cut does not offer any additional sex scenes or scenes that contain more violence. And therefore, it's true that the movie got the R rating without any changes, as Rob Zombie claimed in an interview when the movie was released in cinemas. Nevertheless, fans probably expected at least some explicit nudity and more gore.
So with that very long detour, we're gonna start talking about the movie. I think it takes place right after the first one, where Laurie goes to the hospital. Mike Myers does. Yeah. Mike Myers. They're both in different ambulances, and Michael, of course, escapes. He kills the driver and everything, and then Laurie goes to the hospital. And then 2 years later, Laurie is living with
The sheriff.
Yeah.
And his daughter, Annie.
Now, who did she live with in the first one?
I think... I don't know. Her foster parents, maybe? And then did Michael kill them?
That could be it. Because I don't think she was living with them in the first one. I think she had like foster parents or something.
I think you might have foster parents and Michael may have killed them. But in the second one, she lives with the sheriff.
Yeah.
And her daughter.
Okay, I'm just trying to check here to make sure we have everything right. Yeah, I think that's what it was. But anyway, in the second one, she's living with the sheriff now. And the thing is with Michaels, he's been missing since last Halloween, and everybody thinks he's dead. Well, Lori has been having nightmares about this, so she sees a therapist. And then, of course, Dr. Loomis on the flip side.
She goes to see a psychologist, kind of like Leonard Hustler's mom.
Yes. And then on the flip side, Dr. Loomis wrote a book about the whole Michael thing.
He goes on a book tour.
Yes.
Like Hillary Clinton.
Yes, just to make money off something that happened.
Yes.
Except Dr. Loomis, like tells the truth and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But he's still an asshole like Hillary Clinton,
yeah.
But at least he's not lying.
Yeah.
So anyway, he becomes like a prima donna, and he becomes like a jerk, because in the first movie he was more like down to earth, and he cared about like Lori and what was going on and Michael and everything. And here now he's like more about the fame.
Yeah, and the money in the hose.
And this is a good place to point out that the second Halloween movie, is Rob Zombie said that it was about change, where he wanted to show the aftermath of what happened to all the characters, which it's about that, and I mean it makes sense to do that. What happens after all that? So anyway, Dr. Loomis has to deal with people at the book signings who don't like him and stuff, and
doesn't he also end up on a talk show, like Conan O'Brien or something?
Yeah, with like Weird Al.
Well, no, I was going to say that it has in my opinion, one of the best and most unexpected cameos in movie history.
Yeah, I jumped the gun here.
Yeah, that Weird Al is in it. And we're watching, because Michael McDowell, Dr. Loomis' hotel room, and he's watching his appearance.
He's like on one of those late night talk shows.
David Letterman or Jay Leno or
something like that,
Jimmy
yeah.
Kimmel or Conan O'Brien, I don't remember which one. But it's a real person, real show. And he's on it, and he's watching the show he was on, and then Weird Al is another one of the guest stars on the show, and he actually gets lines of dialogue. He's like sitting next to him, and in the chairs. And when he came on screen, it was like we had to rewind it, because it was absolutely just so unexpected.
It's like
never knew that was going to happen.
It's like the best fucking cameo I've seen in a movie, because it's so nonsensical and
it's hilarious.
It's just so bizarre.
We have to give Rob Zombie super credit for this, because he took Weird Al, who's like a comedian. We love him, and
he's more family friendly.
Yeah, he put him in a horror movie. And you would think if you stick Weird Al in a horror movie, he'll just fucking destroy the whole thing, because it's Weird Al. I mean, he can't be serious. Anything he does is funny.
He has been in other shows and done voices and stuff, but it's all funny kind of stuff.
But he found a way to incorporate Weird Al into a horror movie and not ruin the tone of it.
Yeah, he did. It didn't destroy the movie. It didn't really hurt it or anything. It actually made it good.
It didn't ruin the seriousness of it.
No,
I mean
it worked. Rob Zombie, goddamn it, he found a way to shove Weird Al into a Michael Myers movie, a Halloween movie, and he did it.
It was nothing short of a flippin' miracle that they somehow could incorporate Weird Al into a horror movie, not have him completely obliterated,
and not become a shitty dead turd on arrival.
Yeah, because the problem with Weird Al is that since he's funny, when you stick him in stuff, he automatically ruins the seriousness of it. just because he's Weird Al, and here he didn't. Now, if they made him the killer, yeah, then it would ruin the seriousness. But because of how they incorporated him, it did not. So I have to give Mondo credit for that because it was awesome, and it was totally unexpected because when he introduces Weird Al, he walks out on stage. I'm like, holy shit!
Yes,
it's Weird Al. It's like, what the fuck's going on?
We both agree here that Rob Zombie gets 2 sign of the horns for that one.
Damn right. I just want to make a note of that because that is just, like I said, it's one of the greatest cameos I've ever seen in a movie. Because it was so unexpected. Weird Al was the last person I'd expect to be in this movie.
So anyway, as for Michael during this, who's still alive, obviously, no shocker there. He's been having visions of his mother's ghost and a younger version of himself, I think played by a different kid, because from the first movie, the person who played him when he was a kid, I think was too old now, so they had to get somebody else. And she gives him instructions and stuff
there's a unicorn
or a horse
for the Mentos commercials or something.
Yeah, because it's all about the product placement.
Was the horse
Mike Myers, like in Wayne's World?
Yeah, was the horse Dr. Goyer from Bob's Burgers?
I don't know.
Or was it
Jericho?
Jericho. No, the horse was Mr. Big Butt. No, Dr. the carousel horse. Tina changed herself to the carousel. It was
it's a white horse.
It was like Mr. Goyer or like Dr. Big Butt were horses, or Tina's imaginary horse friend Jericho, played by Ant-Man.
Yeah, Paul Rudd.
So we're gonna call the horse in Michael Myers' visions Jericho.
Except the horse is a white horse. It's a horse, of course, like Mr. Ed.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Dad, because it's Halloween.
Yeah.
And this has to do with how his mom, back when she was still alive, and this was when Michael was a kid at the insane asylum, that I guess one time she went to visit him, she gave him a white horse statue as a gift.
Oh, really? That's where that comes from?
Yes, that's what it says in the plot summary Wikipedia. And it has something to do with, him having the visions of the white
Michael was locked up, she gave him that as a present.
Yeah, it was a statuette, they said. Yeah.
I totally forgot about
Smith's Grove Sanitarium.
Wow. Smith's Grove, yep. Yeah. Okay, so that's where the horse comes into play.
Yes, and it says that the horse reminds him of a dream he had of his mom's his mom's name is Deborah, of her ghost, all dressed in white.
Debbie does Dallas?
And telling him
they should have called him Little Debbie.
And telling him she was going to bring him home.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Now, how does his mom kill herself? Is that where she blows her brains out while watching a film strip or something?
Yeah, I think.
On the couch at home? That's after Michael kills the nurse.
Yes.
I just remembered that. I'm trying to remember how people get killed in these movies.
Yeah, so anyway, he's having these visions.
I think she used a revolver.
And then he goes back to Haddonfield. Okay. And then what's funny is Laurie starts to have the same kinds of hallucinations that Michael does, because they're related.
Oh, you're connected.
So
it's some weird
sibling psycho thing.
Psychosomatic thingamabob. Or they're rooted in their DNA.
And then her hallucinations also begin to include her acting out Michael's murders.
Okay.
I kind of remember that. Anyway, with Dr. Loomis, is like I said, he goes on his book tour, and people start
much better than Obama's apology tour.
Yes, criticizing him for exploiting the deaths of Michael's victims.
Yes.
Like he's just trying to make money.
He becomes money hungry.
Yes,
like the Clintons.
Like I said that before. Yes.
And almost all Democrats.
And when Loomis's book is released, Laurie discovers that she's really Michael's brother.
Oh, yeah, because she sees the book.
Michael's sister. She's not transgender.
Michael's sister. Okay, you're right.
Angel Myers.
Okay, you're right. She's like walking downtown, like the Dells or something, and she sees a bookstore with the book in the window.
You remember what a bookstore is?
Yeah, for all you people out there.
Physical brick and mortar bookstore, not Amazon.
Books, for all you people who don't know what a freaking book is, it's where porno used to be before internet existed.
Because in the first movie, she had no clue she was Michael's sister.
The porno was in magazines. But in the first movie, she didn't know she was related to Michael.
So anyway, she's
walking across the street. Or down the street. Colloquialism, people, down the street. And she sees a book display in a window, so she buys one of the books. And I don't know why she buys the book. But we know, because she didn't know that Dr. Loomis wrote a book about Michael Myers in this whole thing. So when she goes to the bookstore and she sees it in the window, she sees that it's about Michael Myers in her whole thing with him. So she buys the book and reads it in her car, I think. And that's when she realizes that Michael Myers is her sister because Dr. Loomis put that in the book.
So anyway, there's like a Halloween party she goes to with her friends, and then I think friends get...
You try to pick up guys
killed.
like Sophia does at Wolfie's.
Yeah, so they go back to the house. Okay, Michael, first when they're at the party, Michael appears at the party, kills somebody, then they go back to their house, and then he kills some more people. He kills some more people at their house, and like a bunch of her friends get killed off that nobody cares about.
They're disposable.
Yeah, they're just victims.
Like how Carrie in Sex and the City thinks men are disposable.
Yeah.
Disposable men and disposable hot girls.
Yes.
Like Disposable Heroes by Metallica from Master of Puppets.
Okay, then he somehow Laurie gets knocked unconscious somehow. And Michael takes her to an abandoned shed.
Oh yeah, because he's trying to
not the Machine Shed restaurant, an actual shed.
She's trying to reunite them or something, right?
Yeah, he wants to bring her back home, like E.T. Phone Home. Was this like some E.T. fucking rip off thing? And oh, okay, this is how he knocks her unconscious. Michael, because he's like Superman. He flips some car over with Laurie in it. He kills the driver. Okay. No, what happens is Laurie flags down a car to escape, I guess. She gets in. Michael kills the driver and flips the car over, and that's how she gets knocked out.
Now, Michael knows Laurie's his sister, right? At this point.
How does he figure that out again?
I really don't know, because like I said, Laurie figures it out because she sees the book, she reads the book, and it makes her mental condition worse because it reveals information to her that Dr. Loomis and nobody else told her, because she had no idea Michael was her brother. So she reads it in the book because Dr. Loomis puts all that in there, and she doesn't like the fact that there's a book about Michael and her and stuff, and then that she breaks down mentally. Also, has a mental breakdown because of that.
Also, I want to make it clear that in the first movie, yes, Laurie was adopted by a family because they're called the Strolls, and that's her last name. So she did live with an adopted family.
So that's not her real last name.
Yes. Like I said, we saw these movies a while ago because we're still rusty on.
So she took the last name of her foster family. Okay.
Yes.
So then anyway, that makes sense. She finds out through Dr. Loomis's book that her and Michael are related. But how does Michael know that she is her sister? Because it's like he always knew since the beginning, but how the hell would he know that?
I don't know. It doesn't say in the summary.
I mean, he obviously knew he had a sister because he was 10 years old.
He just guessed there's only, 6 billion people on the planet?
So he knew that, but how would he know that she is the one who is his sister? That's what we can't figure out, because nobody tells him.
You never said the movie was perfect. The movies were perfect.
Since she was a baby when he was 10 years old, she looks much different now than she did when he was 10. And since he was in a insane asylum for 15 years, he hasn't seen her in 15 years. So how the hell does he know what she looks like now?
I know that the sheriff tells Dr. Loomis that Laurie is Michael's baby sister.
Okay.
So that's how Dr. Loomis finds out, because the sheriff told him.
Okay.
So anyway...
How Michael finds out is a mystery to me.
Maybe it's like an instinct thing, like he just always knew.
Oh, like an animal.
So, okay, let's go to the ending. So
at least he doesn't try to molest her or rape her or anything, that'd be really creepy.
Yeah, let's not go there.
She'd explode.
So anyway, they're at the shed now. And the police find out Michael's location. They surround the shed. And then Loomis arrives.
Ooh, is it the shed that Hank Hill built that Dale destroyed? Because his dad made him.
His dad had the plaque on it with his dad's name.
Yes.
Yeah, it could be. Well,
cool.
No, it'd have to be pretty big because, Michael Myers is pretty big.
He's bigger than Hank's shed, so it can't be Hank's shed.
No,
sorry, King of the Hill fans.
Super duper shed.
Sorry, King of the Hill fans. It's not Hank's shed.
So he's there and with Laurie, and then Loomis arrives, and the police are there too.
Mm-hmm.
And he tries to redeem himself, and so he goes inside to reason with them. And then he finds Laurie in there hallucinating.
like a seizure or something.
No, I'm reading the summary here. I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
I vaguely remember what's going on. There were helicopters. I know that. The black helicopters.
Okay, she's hallucinating that Michael's like holding her down, like restraining her. But
I kind of remember
he's
that.
like younger too for some reason. But then no one's really doing it, so Dr. Loomis tries to tell her that. And then after that, Deborah tells Michael that it's time to go home. I guess the real Michael, not the hallucinating Michael.
We're talking
not the Michael in the hallucination.
Okay, real world Michael.
Yes, I guess his mom.
It gets confusing
because he has hallucinations about his mom. So in his,
at least his mom's not naked.
Yes, in his hallucination, his mom is telling him, the older Michael, because that's the real one, that it's time to go home.
Older Michael is equivalent to real world Michael. Younger Michael is equivalent to hallucination and or dream Michael.
Yes, if that makes any damn sense at all.
Because it kind of does to me.
Okay, so anyway, Michael attacks Loomis and kills him, and then Michael walks in front of the window with his body.
Yeah.
And then the sheriff sees this, and he shoots him twice.
Okay.
And then Michael falls onto some spikes of some farming equipment, like the spikes in Mortal Kombat. He falls on the spikes.
Or the spikes from Punisher Warzone.
Yeah, uppercut him off the stage.
Hell yeah.
So then Lori isn't hallucinating anymore. So the drugs wore off, I guess.
Her psychotic meds.
Yes, and then she walks over.
Lori's on meds, spoiler alert.
And then she walks over and tells Michael she loves him and then stabs him repeatedly. Because apparently he's not dead after being shot twice.
Because remember, he's a super villain.
Yes. After what just happened. So then the shed door opens and Lori walks out wearing Michael's mask. In the final scene, it shows Lori sitting in isolation in a psychiatric ward, grinning at a vision of her mom, of Deborah, her real mom. So then this leads us to the ending where there's like different versions of the ending.
Now in the theater, this is our opinions that we've gathered from message boards and in moviecensorship.com and Wikipedia.
Our thorough research.
And in the theatrical R-rated version, at the end of the movie, Lori is in a psychiatric ward in a room. So I think what this is saying then is that the whole movie Halloween 2 was a one gigantic hallucination, and it was fake. It wasn't real. It never happened. And
you mean the second one?
I said the second one.
Yes, up until the point where she's in the mental institution. Everything before that in the movie is fake.
The first movie is real. That all happened.
Yes.
But the second one, the whole thing was all...
Except the very end.
Yes. That's the theatrical version. In the unrated version... Now, is there a thing for the unrated version? Okay. In the unrated version of the movie... that they're in the shed. That's all the same, I think. And Dr. Loomis is there with the police and the black helicopters, and they have snipers and shit. And what happens then? Doesn't like Michael Myers and Laurie, they're like fighting or something?
I thought everybody died.
Yeah, but they were. But then the police shoot them. And Michael Myers, actually, he has, since he becomes, when he's a kid, he talks, but when he enters the facility, he stops talking, and then when he becomes an adult, he doesn't talk anymore. And then, I think, in the ending of Halloween 2, he, says, one or two lines of dialogue to Dr. Loomis or something. He doesn't have his mask. He also wears the mask the whole time, so I don't see him. And then his mask, he takes it off, or somebody takes it off at the end of Halloween 2, and you can see him for one scene, and he says one or two lines of dialogue, and then they waste his sorry ass. I think that's what happens.
Yeah, like I said, doesn't Laurie get killed too?
Yes, Laurie's there too, and the police shoot Mike Myers after he says his one or two lines of dialogue, and he has his mask removed, and you can see his face for a second. Laurie's there too, and then when the police shoot him, they also shoot her, and they kill both of them.
To ensure there are no other Rob Zombie sequels.
Yes. and she dies too.
Because I thought him, Laurie, Dr. Loomis all got smoked.
Now I'm trying to think, does Dr. Loomis get killed too?
I thought so. Or does Jason, not Jason, but I think Michael Myers, I think he kills him and then the police kill him and Laurie or something.
I know Michael Myers and Laurie both die. But I'm trying to remember if Loomis does.
Did you actually look this up to see how that ending works?
Let me see.
Because I don't want to just hallucinate my own ending. Mike Holhork's checking on this right now. I'm not doing the Jeopardy song again because that shit's annoying. But we do know there is an alternate ending. You know, we might not be sure what it is, but we know there is one.
Okay, theatrical one. Laurie looks at the mask in her hand. Laurie's theme starts to play. That's a song, apparently. Then the song cross-fading to the pants shot toward Laurie in the psychiatric hospital begins. So that would imply it's a hallucination.
Yes.
In the unrated director's cut, bullets are fired at Laurie because Brackett, I think that's the police chief or whatever, shouts, "Hold your fire, too late." Laurie sinks to the ground. Some of the shots are shot as freeze frame and Love Hurts starts to play. The pan shot toward her in the psychiatric hospital begins significantly earlier, and the cross-feeding the pan shot of Laurie, who is lying on the floor, begins earlier, respectively. So that means that the psychiatric thing that happened before that, so she gets killed. But I don't see anything about Dr. Loomis, though, dying. So Laurie and Michael Myers are both killed in the director's cut, but I don't think Dr. Loomis is.
So he's only killed in the theatrical?
No, in the theatrical, he doesn't die in either version, I think.
No, he is, because I just read that. Michael attacks Loomis and kills him. And then he walks in front of the window with his body, and then the sheriff shoots him. Wow, we're not doing a very good case of defending and or avenging these movies, are we? Because we can't even get the narrative right. But anyway, like structurally wise, though, the movies do make sense with what happens and you know, like how things work and how everybody acts and stuff we think is right, and maybe we're just very shallow people who are satisfied really easily with stuff, who don't have very high expectations.
Hold on, I'm trying to figure this out.
He's trying to figure out the ending again. And I guess the two movies did their job because, hell, we're talking about them.
Yeah.
So Rob Zombie did something right.
Here, let me... Maybe he does die in both versions. Just hold on.
I know at least one of them he does. Well, in the theatrical one. The other version, I don't know.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
Do we finally break ground here? Do we finally pop the cherry, the ending cherry?
I might have. Just hold on. Okay, this is the theatrical cut. Michael attacks Loomis in the barn from the very beginning, kills him.
Yes, I went through it twice.
Yeah, with several stabs with his knife. Okay. And Laurie's flailing with her arms because she thinks that young Michael is holding her down.
Yes,
so that's happening at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, and then, of course, he carries Loomis's body, see by Brackett, and then the snipers. Okay. Then, in the director's cut, after a couple of shots in which the policemen that are waiting outside of the barn are shown, Loomis and Michael fall out of the barn immediately. Michael's mask is taken off, because I think Dr. Loomis does that. And Loomis says, "Michael, for God in hell, Michael." Then Michael replies, "Die," and then stabs him to death. Brackett then gives the order to fire, and Michael is killed by several bullets. So, therefore, he does die in both versions then, apparently, Dr. Loomis. Because he's the one who rips Michael's mask off, so you see his face for a split second, and then Michael says, "Die." That's like his only line of dialogue since he's a kid. And he enters the facility, because once Michael enters the facility, he doesn't talk anymore. And then once he becomes an adult, he always wears a mask. So this is the first time as an adult you see him without his mask, and he actually talks, which is just die.
Apparently, yes.
Yeah, so it's shorter than 1 or 2 lines of dialogue, which I said earlier. So then they fire him, they waste his sorry ass, and then they also shoot Laurie too in the director's cut, and then Dr. Loomis is stabbed to death in both versions. So everybody dies.
Yeah,
so you can rest assured.
It's a happy ending. Everybody dies.
Everybody fucking dies, bitches.
Okay, so let's talk about final thoughts then on the movies, because I think now we've covered everything. Well, except the ending when Laurie could have hallucinated that both movies were fake. That we hallucinated both movies, so neither of them were real. So she's in the insane asylum for some other reason.
I think, regardless of Halloween 2, whichever version you go with, where it's a hallucination or it's not, and that's real, the first one remains real no matter what the second one is.
Yes.
So the first one always happened, and the second one is either a hallucination or it really happened. That's our interpretation of this, because people have been debating this on the internet, and we don't know for sure, but that's what we think.
Yes.
This is what Rob Zombie was trying to do.
So basically, we just kind of made everything out to be more confusing, I think, than before you before we did the podcast.
So in the end, acting's fine. We thought that the gore was good as practical. Nudity,
I don't think the blood was super fake or anything.
No, it was all practical effects, nudity, and stuff like that. That's all fine. Your typical Rob Zombie fare.
They're fun.
Standard issue
Rob Zombie movie.
So if you like gory movies that can stand a lot of cursing and titties and nudity, which a lot of Rob Zombie movies have.
The trailer trash people, because a lot of his movies have people like that in them.
They're worth checking out, and they're not as bad as what we think people say they are.
They're not masterpieces, but they're decent.
Yes.
And like I said, just because we like it doesn't mean it's perfect.
Yeah. And they don't add anything new to the Halloween mythos or horror movies in general.
No, but we think they did an admirable job with it. It was executed fairly well.
So go check them out. We recommend them.
Okay, so on that note, if you like this podcast or any of our other podcasts, be sure to leave comments in the comment section below. And if for some reason we get you off, our channel does, then
sexually?
Yeah, whatever floats your boat. Please subscribe to our channel then.
Also feel free to use our podcast for porn videos as well. Is porn music.
And to pick up hot-looking people of the opposite sex that you are.
Yes.
So, on that incredibly creepy note, this is James Michael Wagner and
John Christopher Wagner
bidding adieu to all you in internet land once again. So always remember to forge on.
Forge on.